Hi everyone, I'm Michael Ruger. I'm the managing partner of Greenbush Financial Group. Today is March 11th, which is a significant day because it's expected that President Biden will sign into law today the American Rescue Plan, which is the third stimulus package to come through, which includes those $1,400 stimulus payments to individuals and their dependents. And there are significant differences with these stimulus payments than before. Just because you got a stimulus check before does not necessarily mean you will get a stimulus check in this round, and the stimulus payments are bigger. But it's also important to understand that there's a lot of other items for individuals in the stimulus package besides just the stimulus payments. Now, while it would be difficult to cover all those in one video, this video is concentrated on those $1,400 payments, but we're going to be creating other videos for all the other pieces because taxpayers could get a lot more after these initial stimulus payments are made. Let's start off by just talking about the basics of these stimulus checks. So as I mentioned, $1,400 per person and for each of your dependents. But the definition of dependents for this stimulus package is different than the previous one. So dependents previously were children under the age of 17 could get those stimulus payments. They broadened it in this stimulus payment to basically say it's anyone who is on your return as a dependent. So this could be a college student who's 21, who's listed as a dependent on your return. You didn't get a stimulus check for them before, but in this round, you might get a $1,400 stimulus check for that dependent. Same thing for adult parents. If you have adult parents that are listed as dependents on your tax return, you could get a $1,400 stimulus payment for them. So the payment's not only being higher, but the number of dependents that could qualify for these on your return could also be larger. But of course, the big question is, are you eligible to receive these payments based on your income? Because they did adjust some things to these phase-out ranges that you have to be aware of. And again, the phase-out ranges are based on your AGI, or adjusted gross income. So if you look at your tax return, your 1040 on line 11, that's your AGI. It's not your gross amount, because people will tell me, well, I make 200 grand. It's like, okay, that's your gross income, but what was your AGI? Look at line 11. Here are the phase out ranges for this next round of stimulus. So these phase out ranges is as your income goes up, your stimulus payment goes down, and eventually it is completely eliminated. So for single filers under this new round of stimulus, the phase out range begins at $75,000. So if you're $75,000 or below of AGI, you are entitled to the full stimulus payment. The phase out range for single filers is $75,000 to $80,000. So somewhere in between there, you get part of it. Anything $80,000 and above, you get no stimulus payment. For joint filers, the phase out range begins at $150,000. So $150,000 and below an income as a joint filer, you get the full stimulus payment. Between $150,000 and $160,000, you get a piece of it. $160,000 and above, you get no stimulus payment. So it's a much more condensed phase out range, meaning people could phase out faster. And the way the formula works is you essentially phase out $5 of your stimulus payment for every $100 over those thresholds until you reach the max phase out amount. The other thing that's different about these phase out ranges is its hard dollar amounts. Those amounts I just mentioned, the 75 to 80 for single filers, the 150 to 160 for joint filers, they don't adjust those amounts based on the number of dependents that you have, which is what they did in the previous payments, because they based it on your benefit base in the last one, saying if you have more children that qualify for the credit, we're going to up the phase out range. That is not happening in this one. So again, just because you got stimulus checks in the last rounds does not necessarily mean you're going to get a stimulus check in this round, depending on your income and the number of dependents. Next, very important topic. What tax year are they going to look at for purposes of assessing these income thresholds? And it's your most recently filed tax return. So sitting here on March 11th, some people have already filed their taxes for 2020. So for those individuals, they will look at the income on your 2020 tax return. If you haven't filed your 2020 tax return yet, then they will look at your 2019 tax return to determine whether or not you're eligible for the stimulus payment. And some people have intentionally not filed their 20, knowing that their 19 income was lower, waiting to see if this was issued, because similar to the other rounds, if you get issued the stimulus payment, and let's say your income was actually above the threshold in 20 or 21, and you get it issued based on your 2019 lower income, they don't ask for that money back. There's no clawback saying, hey, we issued you on 19, your income was actually above the limit in 20, we're gonna need that money back. There's no clawback. So essentially there is a filing strategy within this, but if you've already filed your 2020 tax return, that's what they're gonna base it on. But it's also important to understand that if you did file your 20 return and your income was above the threshold, but for whatever reason, if your 2021 income is going to be lower, then you can still claim these credits when you go to file your taxes. You're just not getting it advanced to you because these are technically 2020 tax credits that they are giving to you ahead of time. So you can still qualify for those, but you'll just have to wait until you file your 2021 taxes in 2022. There are some advanced planning strategies around your income that I want you to be aware of because a lot of families are really close to this phase out threshold, and we're talking about a lot of money here because if you think about $1,400 per person and per dependent, if you have a family of 5 people and those 5 people qualify for this stimulus check, we're talking $7,000 from the government, and that $7,000 is all tax-free. You don't pay tax on that money, which means it's like almost $12,000, $13,000 in a paycheck at the end of the day. So if there's advanced planning, so let's say a family was over the income threshold for 2019, 2020, they didn't get the stimulus check advanced to them, but 2021, let's say they may be around 162, which still doesn't qualify for them for the credit, but again, it's based on AGI. So there's things you can do throughout 2021 to lower your AGI and potentially qualify you for some of those credits, like making larger contributions to a 401k plan. So for a family that has, let's say, 161,000 in AGI, which puts them above and they're fully phased out, if they put $11,000 into a 401k plan throughout the year and they have a family of 5, when they file their taxes, they would get $7,000 from the government that is tax-free that they would have otherwise not have received. So they basically put some extra retirement money away for themselves and they got $7,000 from the government that would have never been there before. So you look at 401k contributions, you look at avoiding doing large investment moves that would generate a lot of capital gains for you because capital gains income counts towards your AGI for the year. Or if let's say you're going to get a big bonus in 2021 and you're really close to the end of the year and close to those thresholds, you might talk to your boss and say, hey, just issue my bonus in January 2022 because I could qualify for some of the stimulus money that's out there. So this concludes our video on the $1,400 stimulus payments, but as I mentioned, there's so much more in this bill for families and individuals in 2021. Some families that have younger children are going to start getting checks from the government starting in July through December, monthly amounts. So what are those amounts going to be? So we're going to be coming out with that video, and the videos will be listed below in the description so you can see the different features within this bill. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at moneysmartboard.com. Thank you.